Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever, whenever that you may be tuning in. This is Yonks, and as always, I am very excited here. We are AiAgents.Box, and this is going to be our very first deep dive on Eliza, the current leading AI agency framework for on-chain builders. And we've got several participants here. And for anybody that's watching on the live stream, I'm going to say hello here in a minute, but we're going to go through and ask a couple questions. We really want this to be an engaging experience. This is absolutely where we collectively roll our sleeves up here. One of the things that I say, will continue to say, we're all learning here together. And one of the reasons that I love this sort of format is I have fun. And I'm going to talk about that just momentarily, the culture that we're wanting to create: fun, earning, learning, and giving. So we're gonna, I'll come back here to the tools working groups here in a minute, but the questions that we're gonna ask right here: are you currently using Eliza? If so, what character type roles is your agents, and how long has your agent been deployed? So I'm gonna start off with Paul. Go ahead, Paul.
Thank you, Yonks. And yes, we're currently using Eliza. Some background, I run a startup called OP Games, and what we're doing is we're trying to investigate how agents can be used for game development. And what we're using Eliza for is we're creating a game developer persona, which we kind of want to be able to make games on their own, like maybe with the community, maybe just by prompting, using whatever new tools that agents can do for us outside of traditional game development. And how long it's been deployed? We actually just had it live in our Slack just today. We have been prompting it for a while, but now we're hoping to roll it out on virtuals and these other platforms by the end of next week. So looking forward to sharing more and diving deep on here with you guys.
All right, fabulous. Thank you so much. And did you want to say a few words of your explorations, Bertrand?
Yes, you hear me? Yeah. So
Indeed. Thank you. Continue, please.
so I've even started a grant to create a new plugin in elizaOS for an EVM blockchain I've contributed to. So I'm more into creating new action for on-chain action for EVM chain. So that's what explored and yeah, what I like to practice, and also about the wallet management. For now, it's a wallet of the agent, but we'll try to use a count abstraction to provide a wallet to the chat user to make it seamless for the on-chain action.
Great. And I would love to just understand what account abstraction framework, tool, whatever package are you all planning to use? Is that something that you finalized on yet?
Pilmico.
Can you
Pimlico.
put it in the Zoom chat? That would be fabulous, and
Yeah.
I'll relay that to the rest of
Mm,
the live stream via the Restream backend. Just as a FYI, that's the tool that we use to send out the Pimlico. Fabulous. Thank you,
yeah.
Bertrand. And over to you, Ernest, our AiAgents.Box AI mixologist. And a lot of that experimentation is unfolding within the Win Social, 3Win Social on Telegram. But over to you, friend.
Yeah, Ernest Of Gaia here. I've been in basically a researcher, educator, beta tester, everything Web3, and now we're getting into agents. Um, Also have a passion for gaming. Real excited about I'm getting advertisements already about agents that can review my gameplay and make recommendations for me to how to improve. So the PvP scene is going to get pretty tight in the next few years when you have like the same kind of professional sports analyst software analyzing, you know, any teenager's gameplay and hobby. But yeah, I'm trying to find like the easiest agents to spin up, testing tools to see what's easiest so that, when folks are asking questions, we can have some answers. And obviously, the more things I can test, the quicker I can test them, the more we know about, the whole field of the agent thing. And I've had a lot of fun. I've been amazed at how AI has helped improved my content, made it so much easier to produce content, and also learn coding in order to be able to use AI in applications. Um, and I love thinking about how to organize swarms and applications and teams, and big fan of cooperative governance. So that's kind of my rundown and intro. And um,
Fabulous. Thank you so much. And we'll do a deeper dive to let you showcase how that you've been doing some experimentation in our ecosystem there at 31 Social. And one of the things that I'm really excited about is exploring multi-agent scenarios. Working with one agent is okay, but really you need to have multiple agents. And thinking through agentic AI design is something that I'm spending a decent amount of time doing. And one of the things like solving personal problems, and that's a good segue to talk about the upcoming Research AI Agents working group. This is one that we're going to be finalizing the date and time here at the conclusion of today's working group. So if you want to participate in this one, the other one was the workflow automation. And the way that I'm going to be personally, and Yonks is a personal brand, Yonks team is our personal family brand. My wife, Mrs. Yonks, is she participates in a good amount of our conversations, but we also have an almost 4-year-old that occupies a lot of our time. So the way that we're going to be deploying our own agentic AI framework is through a Yonks team AI agency. And this is one of the things that I'm still thinking through as far as what that looks like. But we're really wanting to create a model that other people can replicate from a design. Because I promise you that most people aren't thinking about multi-agent design here in January of 2025. And the opportunity for us to provide templates and or other things to make it so much easier for people to create their own personal AI agencies. Because how that we've been interacting with chatbots here for the last several years, ChatGPT, OpenAI, Grok, Claude, whatever LLM, Llama that you may interact with, that's going to transition over to agents. And today we're talking about Eliza, elizaOS.ai is the easiest place. It's sometimes a little bit confusing to understand the ecosystem of what is Eliza. And I think this page best summarizes it here. Framework, DAO, partners, and this is where Eliza exists. So one of the things that we're going to talk about, and real quick before I go on to the next item on our agenda, is going to give anybody else the opportunity here to answer these questions. Are you currently using Eliza, and how long has your agent been deployed? So if anybody else wants to answer that before we move on, feel free to unmic, open up your mic. Otherwise, we'll continue. And I was hoping to have somebody on here from the Fleek team, but didn't get this coordinated. So I'm going to probably just plan to do a future deep dive further down the road and going over to Fleek.xyz. And this is where we've started doing some experimentation. And Fleek is a cloud provider. And you really need to have this in some environment. I mean, in Ernest, when we go to talk about how that you've been experimenting, one of the things that me wanting to create agents as a service and stuff like that to really make it easier for providing solutions to people's problems or helping them get better results. But as you can see here, Fleek is leaning heavily into build and deploy autonomous apps and AI agents. It's on their top of their fold. And the Fleek AI agent, they are specifically gearing it to make it really easy to get started with Fleek. And there's several different packages, like me personally, with Yonk's team AI agency. We're going to look at doing the pro plan. We're also going to create a pro plan for our ecosystem. And then one of the conversations that we're wanting to have with them, because as a builder, we're wanting to really build something that can scale. And one of the reasons that also like Fleek, besides them being very on-chain native, I'm not going to unpack that right now, but they also have enterprise SLAs. And for those people that aren't familiar, SLA is a service level agreement, and that's where you get like guaranteed uptime and stuff like that. And that's again where you need to be spending good amount for your hosting service. So that's really when you're providing service to customers that you're creating agents for. So did you want to talk about Fleek right now from your perspective, Ernest?
Sure. I'm not. Did Carla give an introduction?
Did you want to chime in say hi, Carla?
Oh, oh no, I was just saying hi to Bertrand.
Okay.
I and Bertrand worked on the project some while ago, so I was just saying hi to him.
Awesome. Basically with Fleek is nice. It's given me a lot of Web3 integrations, or a little bit of, at least on the storage side. I was able to deploy a website on Fleek. It's also deploy an agent, although in order for me to use that agent in an application, I'm either going to have to work with somebody that knows more coding than I do, basically just familiar with HTML. But it did allow me to deploy a website, so I'm hoping that either the agent I have on Fleek or the agent that I created in VectorShift, I can connect to the website that I created using Fleek. It's pretty code heavy. It's not a no-code solution, but it looks like, especially if you're familiar with code or JavaScript, TypeScript, that you can get started up pretty easy. Their UI is pretty slick. And that's kind of where I'm at with Fleek.
So just thinking through agentic AI design, I think one of the special agents, and there's not like a well accepted term for that yet. And there's actually, let me find that paper here real quick. But the opportunity for us to create an Eliza character type where it's their function, their role to be the Fleek expert as far as whatever packages or whatever, like let's say we need to spin up a new Eliza agent, then we would delegate that function to the Fleek agent, and then the Fleek agent would then do the thing in the Fleek environment.
Yeah, you still got to build the application. So it's like easy to say, just kind of offhand, we'll have it do this and this and this and kind of be real abstract about it. But at some point, you're building an actual application. And it's kind of helped me to the agents are just a small part of that. And and while people, the more templates people develop, the more GitHubs you can search through. You can eventually, people will have pretty solid workflows, and you will just be able to kind of talk to an agent interface online and be real abstract, and it just builds you something. But currently, for the non-coder, there's still a lot of barrier of entry. But I think that's great because that's just an opportunity for education and testing and sharing.
And here's that paper that I'm talking about. And just for sake of making it easy to refer, ADAS, Automated Design of Agentic Systems. And this has already been starred 1.1 thousand times on GitHub, and it's a fairly new paper here. And I threw that link in the Zoom for everybody. But this is kind of like one of the other things too that we're going to have some thoughts around is using HAT's protocol to potentially do some of this. One of the other things too. But did you want to screen share like how that you've been working with your Eliza agent, Ernest?
Not really, because there's not a whole lot of interaction yet, other than chatting in Telegram. I've been comparing like what the differences in conversations are between like to what extent can you interact on Twitter? To what extent can you interact in Telegram? So like in Telegram, it doesn't really like to pull resources and bring them into Telegram. But if I ask the same question in Discord, connected to my Discord bot, I get resources. I one of the prompts is like, hey, agent, store this in your memory so that you can refer to it in the rest of our conversation. And so with the different agents, and different platforms for building agents and other agents that you can interact with through whatever web interface, it's real interesting to see, can you add resources? Does it have memory? And ultimately, though, like this is a really fancy paper, but you're just building a team. So I really do feel it's important to have some understanding on like what team members do I need to achieve whatever, personal or business objective I have. And the reason why I think so many people like this idea is because so often in teamwork, there's a lot of emotional labor for whatever reason, whether it's people have a bad day or people's personalities, themselves. And AI agents give us the possibility of creating a team of individuals that can work collectively without a whole lot of emotional labor mucking it up. Downside is that it takes a lot of energy and resources to make, to use these tools, but obviously we wouldn't be here if we didn't think there's a lot of opportunity or utility in this technology. That's just some of my personal stuff. Not to get sidetracked, but would love to hear other people's ideas,
Here's my thoughts, Ernest, and this is where like some of the teams, breakout teams or agents or niches that we're looking for, because you're right. Like if just normal people with where we're at, but this is where the opportunity for us to create, like whether it's a personal assistant for real estate agents or a virtual paralegal for legal professionals, and the opportunity for us to create and solve those problems for these niches or professions or whatever, where they don't have to go through this, where we can create the agency for like and I'm not sure what that looks like from a gaming standpoint, because that's not something that I've had too many conversations about. But that's kind of my thoughts is like for we're wanting to create with Yonk's team AI agency, like I have some immediate pain points surrounding workflow, and that's one of the reasons, and also research. Like right now, if I want to research something, it's a manual effort, and like I think a lot of us would love to have our own virtual research team. So like thinking through designing a Yonk's team AI agency, one of the first agents that we're going to deploy likely is a digital twin of ourselves, Yonks, and my wife, Mrs. Yonks, so that we could potentially engage and have some personal feel to an onboarding process through our digital twin where people can, get to know us without us spending the time, but then like, after time or whatever. And I'm not wanting to take the personal element out of conversations, just wanting to, instead of me personally having to repeat the same thing, like you think about onboarding new members into organizations or whatever the case may be, that's a real opportunity. So that's one of the first two agents, Eliza agents, that we're going to deploy within this Yonks team AI agency that we're going to build out. So I'm over here on Fleek.xyz, and one of the things that I do from a best practices standpoint is I have a bunch of different Brave browser profiles to keep things separate. So I'm going to go ahead and see what this process looks like. Now, you already said you signed up for a Fleek. Has anybody else used Fleek that's on the working group here besides Ernest? Bertrand? How long have you been using Fleek?
A long time ago. I mean, I'm not using it too much yet, but I mean, I've used it at the beginning. I feel it was really early, so I'm not so up to date on it. But I like this Web3 features of having ENS, having IPFS that are not native to so many no continuous integration system yet. So I feel using Flick is more on-chain oriented than using a Web2 alternative.
Well, yeah, like I just went through the process of doing a sign up, and I don't know if you saw that, but I just used MetaMask yonksteam.eth to sign up. And that's something that may change here because but that's something that I'm gonna think through as far as the whatever. So when you click on the get started, let me actually just go through this process here.
So I'll just add,
Go
I'll
ahead.
add quickly while you're signing in. So one of the things I'm doing is I'm trying to, as we get like ideas for agents that we need or workflows that we'll need to work, areas that we'll need to work in, create workflows for, you can actually create your own agent in ChatGPT. So I'm like, what's the default, everybody goes to Google, right? So what can I do natively as far as creating my own agent with ChatGPT? You can share them, you can build them, you can add plugins to them. They have a task manager now, where you can start creating task-oriented workflows based out of the conversation that you're having with your chat, with your personal GPT. And then when I encounter, okay, the chat GPT is good as a generalist, but I need to start developing, the special agents, then I can start looking for, yeah, then I say, oh no, maybe I should use Claude because it's a little cheaper. It's got better, people really like the creative responses from Claude. You may have some other, and then so I can start looking, okay, well now I got an API, but I need some more tools. Where do I need to go? okay, I need storage, so I start going to Fleek, or yeah, Venice is privacy oriented. And so that's what I've kind of started coming back to is um is going through a process of, you know, starting at what's the default easiest onboarding thing that you can share with people, introduce people, help them learn. And then, you know, at some point, I need something beyond a generalist in my team. And so then I start framing out those needs and those character profiles for the business need that I need. Yeah, I'd like to learn more about Vercel. I keep running into Vercel. Not quite sure what Vercel is.
It's another cloud hosting provider.
Okay. It seems real popular.
Yeah.
And that's the other thing too. Like, I've been testing social media and Web 2 applications so long. When I was coding HTML 20 years ago on MySpace, and then moved into ASP.NET and was coding, like, basically helping, assisting a coder with his, uh, SharePoint and Microsoft solutions. But for the last 20 years, I haven't coded. Um, I've Google gives me a website, Facebook gives me a website, Twitter, all these Web3 platforms, social media platforms give me a website. So it's interesting leapfrogging the computer science in a way for the last 10 years on one level, and then coming into these tools where now, in a matter of like 2 weeks, I'm actually coding my own HTML website using Fleek on and all that says about Web3. Uh, that's not something I think I could have done last year. And there's just a whole bunch of people that have been, as Yonks always points out, just fiddling with WordPress. And this is going to be a big leap for those people that figured out WordPress really well the last several years, and figured out Google AdWords, and now they're really going to be able to step up their game, or just come up with some cool stuff. The gaming area, Yonks, just so you know, when you get into these, like League of Legends, most popular esports game, I have an app called Mobalytics that connects to not only my League of Legends profile, but like a half a dozen other esports. And it's just a application that's constantly watching my gameplay, showing me clips. I use it to load character profiles that I'm using in these PvP games. And all that's going to be AI driven and personalized by the agent, right? And so for those that are familiar with this, you log into your app that you're running during your game time. Could be your Xbox profile, who knows? But that application's gonna have a history and memory, you know, about the conversation you have with it. It's just gonna be really interesting, and a lot of utility coming out of those kind of apps.
So I was just going through the process. I don't know how many people are looking on the screen here as far as the Eliza template, and some of the options clients. Here's the clients that Eliza currently supports: Discord, Twitter, Telegram, Farcaster, Lens, Auto, and Slack. Model providers, I'm not going to read through that whole list, but this is just going through the workflow here. I renamed my project Yonk's Team AI Agency, and this is something with this environment that you can have different projects. And I haven't used Fleek that much, but the main reason again that I'm looking at Fleek, and I'll take a look too at Versal, but just the opportunity to help be easier for people to explore. Because one of the things as a lifetime technologist, I haven't personally been more excited about a technology evolution than what I believe is possible with agents. And that's one of the reasons that, like, wanting to be really thoughtful through design, because the opportunity to architect these multi-agent environments, but then most importantly is make it easy for other people to also, because I believe that people that are early adopters that help to create a network effect are going to have potentially an unfair competitive advantage. And as a cooperative fanboy and Taoist, I would much rather us be early adopters where we can have more of a cooperative model and create value for those of us that help to create the network effect. So does anybody want to talk anything more through this template for Eliza that I'm screen sharing for right now?
I found it super easy. The one thing in the Fleek app, once you deploy it, I don't know how to open up the command line interface to interact with it. This is where I think I need to start creating functions in Fleek and adding those to my project or sites. So that's, if anybody finds the Fleek thing interesting,
Go ahead,
know.
Bertrand. Bertrand's got hand up. Go ahead, Bertrand.
I was just curious if there is a list of plugins that you can select from in the same way for client and AI model, but it doesn't seem so.
Well, and this is just the template.
Yeah, the character file, but in the character file, you can also enable plugin.
Yeah, and I think that that's one of the things that Ernest was mentioning as far as how to change the settings once the character file gets deployed. And this is something too that, like, I'm going to spend some time myself to think about what I want for these sorts of character files. And like I was mentioning, Ernest, I think one of the special agents that we should be pretty intentional about creating for our ecosystem is one that is a Fleek expert or whatever, and start training it using, because they've got like a guide here where uh, this is manually entering the agent details, and this is probably way more codey. That's why that they have the template over here for people to go through. So I'm hoping to have go ahead, Bertrand.
Yeah, I mean, it's because it's more complicated to manage plugin into a character file because some plugin need settings. And so if you enable a plugin but without putting the settings, it would be more complicated to manage in a form than just selecting a model provider and a client. I mean, because I think that could be, and there is many more plugins, and you can see a lot of new plugins appearing at every release every week. So trying to keep up with plugins is like trying to keep up with all the features of AWS, for example.
Well, and I think, just thinking out loud here, I think that that's an opportunity for like an Eliza special agent that can, summarize new plugins or whatever the case may be. And then, like, potentially creating a sandbox or whatever where, and this goes back to like this, that paper that I was talking about earlier, where the function of your agents is to continue to build their own agentic frameworks for just facilitating this more automatically. And I'm not sure what that looks like, because this is something that newer to myself, but that's probably a good segue to talk about best practices, because this is also something that's very, very important. I shared in our Telegram, and let me bring that open here on screen real quick. Okay, so this is our Telegram here, and got quite a lot of topics. The main topics around AI agents is happening in the AiAgents.Box channel. And like, let me just do a search here for ISO. So this is a standard ISO 42001 42001 that talks about AI agents. And let me see if there's another right here. So let me actually open up this standard. And this is something that I think that we should achieve to get this industry designation for some of our brands that we're going to be launching here through, like one of which that I'm most excited about is myIRA.fund. And this is, of course, more geared for people here in the United States, which is a individual retirement arrangement. Most people refer to it as an account. But this is one of the problems to solve and create better solutions for people. Because anyway, not going to unpack that right now, but this is something. Has this shown up on anybody else's radar? The standard? I'm not sure what it will look like. There was I'm going to go through the process with Credo.ai. They actually have a requested demo of ISO 42001 policy pack. I've never been involved with an organization that's going through the process of getting a standard like this. Anthropic, the team behind Claude, just recently got their ISO achievement certification. Here's a post from a couple days ago where they made that announcement on their website. But one of the things that I did want to mention for everybody that's on here that's participating, I'm going to create an unlock protocol. We love using on-chain technology to represent worthwhile events, and I'm going to be airdropping everybody using the wallet address that you provided on the Luma event. I'm going to create the certification for our working group here, and this is one of the things, like I think that's another thing that we can work towards creating is through AiAgents.Box and the community that we're building here, the opportunity, to create some training materials and or whatever the case may be in a more intentional bundled format, like an e-learning course. And that's a product that I'm sure, is a demand for. And again, the opportunity to be an early mover advantage. Like right now, I don't know if there's a great course for how to deploy an Eliza agent on whatever. And, that's something that we could even potentially get some sponsorship for, especially like through or some sort of fun engagement with various service providers that are really wanting to make this easier. And Fleek is one that I'm looking forward to. And anyway, I'm going to stop talking here. We've only got a few minutes left, and I always want to be respectful of everybody's time. And one of the things that I said that was going to do was finalize the date and time for our upcoming working group for a research assistant. And that's another practical use case. So that'll be yet another agent that we deploy, and likely also deploy a special agent that's their job, is to help other Eliza research assistants, research agents in our ecosystem get better and better to amplify through these intentional feedback loops. But I'm going to go on mute and take a look here. So I think we've got already on this time slot something scheduled, but this is a time slot that's been working out well for everybody. So let me take a look at our calendar. But anyway, I'm going to stop talking while I'm looking through this and get some feedback from you all as far as how are you looking forward to having another Eliza deep dive here in 2 weeks?
Fine in 2 weeks, Yonks. I probably won't be able to attend the research one over the weekend, but at this time actually it works out pretty well for me.
Nice. And we will probably do a meet with to find out what the most inclusive time is for everybody, and that's something that we will circulate. I'll just take this as an action item too. I'll forward the Fathom replay. This is one of the things that we're wanting to get better at using ourselves from a workflow automation. And that's one we'll finalize the date and time for the workflow automation. But just looking here, we're going to do the research assistant Saturday during a 4 to 5 Mountain Time, which is a 6 to 7 Eastern Time. And then we'll get the workflow automation for middle of next week and get the meet with event so that we can figure out what our next. And for now, I think bi-weekly, if that changes where we want to intensify the Eliza conversations, then we'll decide here in a couple weeks. But we're going to be doing a lot of conversations through AiAgents.Box. Here on our Luba calendar is the best way. And if you want to add this to like a Google calendar so that you can kind of see if you're wanting to plug into what we got going on. But these replays are all available here, and I'll send out a follow-up email via Luma for our Eliza Deep Dive number 2. And we will likely also potentially between now and in a couple weeks looking at Crew AI. Crew AI is more on the enterprise side of things, but that's one of the things, looking at various frameworks so that we can be early adopters and experimenters and build a multi-agent, agentic or agency. That's I'm going to be calling it Yonk's Team AI Agency. But anyway, I'm going to stop the share here, and if anybody wants to say anything else before we bring the Zoom and live stream to a close, that's up to you. Where's the link for the outro, Ernest?
It'd be the same YouTube video.
Okay, let me rewind that. All right.
Yeah, and like I've been loving AI. Like I've never been able to spin up graphic images, create music, provides, love it.
Alrighty, well, everybody have a great rest of your day. AI Agents is going to continue to be a huge talking point in 2025. So join the fun here. The more that we can collaborate and get this figured out together and be early adopters and build cool shit, that's what I'm all about. Cheers.
Thank you, everyone. Bye-bye.